Just came in here to try out Dibble for a second, and I was reminded. I mean, just look at this. Just look at this. Look at this what is this goofy ass running animation? This game's community as a collective has entirely taken the Evrima branch for granted. This thing's got worse scoliosis than I do. The Dryosaurus can actually use its burrowing mechanic several feet off the ground. This means that if you position yourself correctly against any random object, you can build a burrow and then get inside of locations that you're not supposed to be in. For example, on the developer test level, you can come over to this river structure, look over the edge, and then start building a burrow. This is actually a trick that I used to use all the time on old deathmatch servers. And you're in the burrow, you simply exit the burrow, and now you're stuck inside. And you have to crouch to make sure you don't clip through it, but now you're completely safe underneath this structure. You can actually do it on the basic human structures on V3 Anthenia. For example, I tried it on this little tank here, in which case I was successful in getting inside. But be careful doing this, because I'm dead. Upon entering this tank, there was no way out, and there doesn't seem to be any unstuck command on Legacy. So, But by far the most interesting thing that I discovered with this trick is what you can find when you use it on the Radio Shacks. If you build a burrow to try and get inside one of these, if you look around, you'll find this thing. What this is the satellite dish on top of the structure. This is the bottom half of it. What the developers have done here, they've taken a radio dish, not just a normal one, like a space type one, shrunk it down into this low poly mess, and just stuck it right on top of the building. It is useless knowledge, but it is very interesting knowledge into the terrible mess that was Legacy's development. So I did a little more digging, and by a little more digging I mean one single Google search, and I found this on Sketchfab. I am like 99% certain that this is the exact model that the game uses, which of course it's not their own model, it's Legacy, come on. The only difference seems to be that they chopped off the bottom base part of it for some reason. I love how they purchased this structure. They decide, no, let's not place it into the world. Let's actually stick it inside of a random obscure shack that also does not have any interior. Good God, we all take Evrima for granted. Parasaurus, Austroraptor, Baryonyx, Acrocanthosaurus, Quetzalcoatlus, Titanoboa, Velociraptor, Ankylosaurus, Brachiosaurus, Camarasaurus, Phuetrosaurus, Psittacosaurus, and Therizinosaurus all share Utahraptor's UI. The Neurospino also uses Utah's UI, but on top of that, it is actually 5.164 kilometers faster than a normal Spinosaurus. Albertosaurus, Spinosaurus, and the Hyperspino all use Tyrannosaurus's UI. Orodromius uses Gallimimus's UI, Avoceratops uses Triceratops's UI, and Shant uses Maya's UI. Going back to the Quetz, it is possible once you are in the air to land it even though the feature doesn't exist in the game, but it is really hard. You need to find water and then dive into it and just hope that it sets you back onto the ground. I like how half of these facts exist almost purely because of developer incompetence. If you press escape and then look at the menu right here, there is actually a secret invisible scuff mark that you cannot see. In fact, you can only see it when you turn up the gamma. And here it is in the dead of night for better presentation. I don't know, I just think it's pretty interesting. The Hatchling Rex's skin customization is all unknown. The character select menu actually has a old-fashioned way for you to see your species data And based off of the silhouettes, this is very, very old. But it's interesting to see super old remnants of like super old UI. For a brief period of time, the main menu allowed you to see the game's credits. Keep in mind this is the legacy branch, this list is outdated, for sure. Observe. The Albertosaurus shrinks when it moves while crouching. Amazing. You might be familiar with this random cube right here. Little known fact, there is actually a second larger one under the map that is completely invisible. I'm sure this information is very useful to you. The entire map of the developer test level is also entirely surrounded by invisible walls, but there are actually 2 points in these invisible walls that have holes in them, allowing you to fall out of the map and die. First one being right here, and the second one being right here. And on top of that, this portal structure is made up of actually 2 of these rock formations, as you can see here. And you can also climb up them, which is also very useless information, but I thought it was very interesting. Subadult Carnotaurus. Do I even need to say anything more? And it can actually grow into a normal Carnotaurus too. Every survival creature can immediately stand up by pressing F at the same time they press H. What an amazing game. I hope they won't have to remake it or anything. The TSL Rex, or the Feathered Rex, actually doesn't share any animations with the normal T-Rex. I mean, hey, you clicked for useless information, I'm gonna give you useless information. For example, did you know the TSL Rex weighs a whopping 50 kilograms, which converted to freedom units is equal to 110 pounds. I guess he took the hollow bones thing to heart. This is the highest point on Thenyo Island, this is the highest point on V3, and this is the highest point on the dev test level. If you spam tap W and then attack as Theri and Galley, you can do a little trolling. This one might actually count as useful, but it's not useful for me because I don't play Legacy. If you spam H while walking as a Rex or Trike, you can regenerate stamina. I actually found it really hard to do as Trike, so Daniel actually has an unfinished cave where this rock is, which you can see by clipping under the map with admin abilities. Looks very similar to the caves that are on Region 2. If you look directly upward into the sky with a Type H Giga, its neck will break. You can actually get around these rocks here at the coast and go down to the sea. If you use admin to go look underneath the sea, you will discover that there are 2 seas. There is water underwater. You've got Goo Lagoon here. More useful information, every dinosaur in the game is allergic to seawater. If you speed up replay mode, it actually reveals that the landscape has mountainous fog, which I can't even really see while playing the game normally. Hera shares its rig with Shantungosaurus. In fact, the only 2 animations that those creatures do not share are the running animations and the heavy attack animations. This is the giant patch of foliage floating in the air over Thenia. As you can see, it's in a grid pattern. It's a bunch of bushes, and if you get too close, they vanish for some reason. But even if you can't see them, they're still casting ominous, imposing shadows over the landscape. And finally, unfortunately, the rumors are true. At this point, they're not rumors, but to me, I didn't know for sure. But now it's undeniable. The streams on Thenia Island flow uphill. These two examples are very extreme, but it seems to occur everywhere where the streams flatten out. It doesn't even hide going uphill, it goes uphill. And that's really about all I cared to look into for this. That's the whole game. There's no other secrets that haven't already been talked about. And some of the stuff I did talk about have already been talked about. Hope you enjoyed this useless information. You got what you came for. So, that's it.